Why did you decide to do this book?
It really felt like time to put it all together, because I had spent so much time in these regions that, you know, it's one thing to work for magazines, it's another thing to work for books, where maybe a student 100 years from now will find this book in the library and learn something. And, you know, it's just a different kind of, it's a different way of reaching people to have a book and to write a book. And I wrote it too. It's a very personal memoir about these places.
Why this particular subject?
Well, I think there are a lot of reasons. First of all, it overlapped with a general interest that I have in countries that have had a revolution or a civil war. And so in that sense, I've been to other places which have nothing to do with the Muslim world, you know, like Haiti, or, you know, I lived in Russia at the end of the Soviet Union and things like this. But this, you know, these cultures, these Middle Eastern cultures, always drew me back, maybe because part of my family is from Iran. And I just find it very aesthetic. So.
I know, like, one chapter in the book is about the Muslim community in the U.S.
Right.
How did you approach this work, this particular part of it?
Well, okay, that was that's a whole chapter in the book, and that was an assignment for National Geographic after 9/11. So it was a very sensitive moment for Muslim Americans. And basically, the first thing I did was I went to an academic, an expert on Islam, which I am not. I'm not an expert on Islam, and this is not meant to represent Muslims everywhere, you know? So I went to an expert, and he led me to another one who opened a lot of doors across the country for me. So a Pakistani-American guy and a wonderful scholar. So he helped me. And he basically worked with me to gain access to communities all over the country.
What did you learn from this project?
What I learned was that they were an immigrant community much like any other in America. But they were a newer community, and this is, you know, they're the African-American Muslims who are Americans who converted to Islam. And then there are the people who fled civil war and dictatorship and things that many of us have fled in America. Our families have fled, such as my family. My family fled the Armenian genocide. A quarter of them were killed under Stalin in Georgia. So, you know, in that sense, they were very, very American, and typically so, where they take a little of the old country, a little of the new country, and they really make something new, which is, you know, typically kind of American mix. It's actually a very exotic country, America. So.
Through your work, are you trying to define the identity of the people, to illustrate their culture?
I'm trying to do both, but I'm also trying to get, you know, close enough, and I try to spend enough time with people that they forget that I'm there.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing, is when people forget I'm there, and then their stories come through me. I'm almost like a conduit for their stories.
How do you do that? When people forget that you're there?
Well, you have to spend a lot of time drinking tea and sitting and, you know, talking and answering questions and asking questions and just spending time.
Are there places where it was harder to do that?
Yes, sure. I mean, there, like, for example, Saddam's Iraq was a place where if you went to somebody's house, they had to turn up the music so that, you know, because they were afraid that the conversation would be bugged. So, yeah, there are places where people are actually taking their life in their hands to help you. And to talk, even to talk to you.
You were saying, like, you have family roots back in Iran. How do you view the current situation in this country?
In Iran?
Yeah.
Well, it remains to be seen what's going to happen there now. There's a power struggle, as far as I understand, at the very top within the Islamic leadership. So I'd be a fool to predict. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Is it something you want to cover? Do you want to go back to Iran to do
I
that?
always want to go back to Iran. Always, always. I don't cover open conflict anymore. I mean, since 1996. I do cover countries undergoing change. And so, yeah, of course, it's interesting. I have family from there. And so, yeah, I have a keen interest in doing that, for sure.
When was the last time you were there?
This work, when I did this work, which was a cover story for National Geographic in 1990, it ran in July 1999. And they also did a documentary while I was there for the Explorer series, National Geographic.
Do you work mainly with National Geographic?
I've certainly worked a lot for them. This book is made up of pictures shot on assignment for them, for Time Magazine, and for the New York Times. Primarily, some others as well, and also time on my own. Like I lived in Gaza for 2 years, and sometimes I would just wake up and wander around and take a picture, working from when the sun came up, just on my own, not on any assignment.
Do you miss being there?
Sorry?
Do you miss being there in Gaza?
Oh yeah, I mean I always think about Gaza when things happen there, and I know exactly what block they're talking about and what neighborhood and what the likely political makeup is of that neighborhood and what those people look like. And I have friends that we write email back and forth every week, year in and year out. So
in general, for photojournalism, there's a lot of talk about death of photojournalism.
Right.
Do you believe that's the case? Is it a difficult market to work in now?
It's extremely difficult market to work in now, and I think there's a lot of talent that's going to waste. But I think that photographers need to find what the new paradigm is. I think we're all learning what it is and learning how to replace what was deep, long support from the magazines with something else, like NGOs. And I think that, photojournalism, there's a lot of hope because there are still people really committed to it. And when you look at this festival, you see the numbers of people who turn out, not only just to look at it, but the people who are involved, deeply involved, and have committed their whole adult lives to producing this work. It's inspiring. So.
He's the head of 7 photo agency. He was talking about the future of photojournalism being with an NGO commissioning a work, and on the side being published by. Do you see that?
Right, I do already. I'm already working that way. Yes.
And for the Visa for L'Image festival. Do you think it's an important place to be?
Very important. It's the most important photojournalism festival in the world. And I'm very pleased to be with these colleagues who are so wonderful. It's my 3rd show here. So in a way, it's like a photographic home for me. And I'm coming back to my roots here just by returning and having a show here. So.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.